Hey fellow beaders, it's JP and I have a new tutorial for you. And I'm back to doing bracelets, so it's, Bead Stash Sunday. So I've got one that's really simple. You're going to need some 11/0 seed beads and bicones. That's all right, only 2 bead types. And this is what you're going to get. And I'm calling this the peekaboo bracelet. And the reason I'm calling it that is because if you peek down into the component, you can see the little seed beads at the other side. So, and this is the back of it. It's got some nice 3-dimensionality to it. And here we go. So like the seed beads are framed in a way, and it's got a little bit of a bowl effect in a sense. Anyway, so these are 4mm bicones. So the component needs 12, and then you're going to need 2 for the connections. This bracelet is 6 inches, and I made 5 components, and I had a total of 6 connections. And so I made my end connections look very similar to the connection between the 2 components. So it looks like the design just kind of continues on, is what I was trying to do. So that way you guys can figure out how many bicones you're going to need. Now I also made sort of a sample here using 3x4 rondelles, and I think it came out just as nice there. And you can kind of, as you peek down, you see the beads down at the bottom, and there's the back. So I used some silver beads just so they look they stand out differently here. And anyway, well, let's get started. I don't think I have anything else to tell you guys. Oh, well, one last thing. You'll need a couple of jump rings and, of course, lobster claw clasp, beading needle, and each component needs about half an arm span, so about 2 to 2.5 feet of thread. 4 to 6 pound firelines should be sufficient. You might even be able to get away with the 8 pound. We do go through the beads a few times, so the 8 pound might be a little harder to work with the 11/0s. But I'll leave that up to you. I'm sure you guys know whether or not it'll work for you. Anyway, now let's get started. To begin making our component, you're going to pick up 2 11/0s and a bicone. And you're going to continue to do this until you have 4 bicones and 8 11/0s on the thread. Bring it down to the end, and then you're going to tie a knot. So just a basic overhead knot, or a square knot, I guess as they call it. And that's it. So we're going to keep it simple. Just like that, there's the knot, and this is what you should have at this step. You're going to go ahead and take your needle, and you're going to go through the bicone and exit out of that bicone. Then go into just the 11/0. And you're going to pick up an 11/0 and go into this other 11/0, then the bicone, and then the next 11/0 that's on the other side of this bicone here. And what you're going to do, or what you're going to get, is this little point. And you're going to repeat this all the way around. So I'm picking up another 11/0, and I'm going to go through 11/0, bicone 11/0. And I'm adding an 11/0 between the 2 11/0s that you first picked up. And again, repeat. So there it is again. And last time. This time you don't want to go into the next 11/0, but go ahead and exit out of the bicone only. So you're going to an 11/0 and then the bicone. And this is what you should have so far. So there should be now a point at all of the 11/0 beads. Now to continue, I'm going to pick up 3 11/0s and I'm going to go back around this bicone. So my thread is exiting here. So I'm going to go back around and there'll be a little group of 3 11/0s around the bicone. And then we're going to continue on. So you'll have to go through all of the 3 11/0s here to get to the next bicone. So I went through 2 and I'm going to go ahead and go through 11/0 and the bicone. You're going to pick up 3 and go back around the bicone. And we're going to repeat this for all the bicones. So now I'm going to go through the 2 11/0s. Usually it's just easier to go through 2 of those 11/0s and then the third 11/0 and the bicone. The alignment of the beads just makes it easier. So I figure, why force it? And by trying to go through all 3 of them. Okay, so I picked up 3 again, and I'm going to go back around the bicone. And so I have 11/0s around 3 of the bicones. I've got 1 more to do. And again, I'm just going to go through 2 of these 11/0s. And you'll find that it's nice and tight, the beadwork, and that's why, again, it's just easier to go through 2 at a time. So, and the last time I'm picking up 3 11/0s, and I'm going to go back around the bicone. Just like that. Let's see if I can get this tail to kind of poke in the other direction, so you guys can see what I did. And so all the bicones have 11/0s around them. I'm just going to flip the work up, and what I want is to go through just the 2 in this group of 3. So I don't want to go through all of them. And then what we're going to do is fold all these forward. And my tail is in the way again, so I'm just going to shift it back out. Okay, so you're going to fold these loops towards the center. And we're going to do my little technique that I often do. You guys should, if you're watching me regularly, you'll know what I'm talking about. We're going to connect all 4 of these loops together. So I'm going to go into this next one and just the middle bead again. Like so, and we're going to repeat this. So now I'm connecting the 3rd one, and now the 4th one is going to get connected, and then okay, I'll move my hand out of the way here in just a second so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've gotten 3 out of the 4 connected together. So I got to connect the 4th one now back to the 1st one. So here's the 1st one. Here's that middle bead in that 1st one. So I'm going to go through that and a couple more of these seed beads because we're going to reinforce what we just did. Okay, there we go. The tail thread got caught there. So, all right, so this is what you're going to get. And it's going to be like a little, there's a little bit of dome shape, so you're going to get on this side, and this is the front. So what we just did was in the back. So it's a little bit 3-dimensional. It's like a little bowl in a way. And what we're going to do is just reinforce. And you want to make sure you're just grabbing the right beads. You're not accidentally grabbing beads on the side or anything. So all I'm doing is reinforcing. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not adding beads or and so this is gonna, at this point, this might collapse a little and fold inward. Don't worry. Once we get, excuse me, further down, that will not happen. And here it is so far. Now I'm going to go down one of these side beads and I'm going to continue through the bicone now. This is because these beads were connected to the bicone. So I'm sticking with the thread path that I've used, and then I want to come out of one of the point beads. And this is what it looks like in the front. So this is what you should have so far. Now you're going to pick up a bicone, 11-0, and a bicone. And you're just going to go through the next point here. So you're not going through anything else. And let's see. So this is what you're going to get. And we are going to repeat this now. So bicone, 11-0, bicone. And you go through the next one. Just like that. Oh, that one doesn't have an opening. So bicone, 11-0, bicone. Next point. That's what you get. And the last time we're going to do bicone, 11-0, bicone. If I can pick it up, there we go. And we're going to go through that 11-0 and then up into the bicone if you can. All right, things were getting a little tight there, but we're done with that round. So this is what your piece should look like so far. So continue on, go through the 11-0 and the bicone. Like so, and make sure there's no slack anywhere. And now what we're going to do is pick up 11-0 and then go through all three of these beads that you put in, or you recently picked up in the last round. So I went through the bicone and the 11-0. I'm going to go through this other bicone. And what you want to do is actually push down. So these things are going to get pushed down a little bit to get them to make the shape that we have. And now I'm going to pick up another 11-0. And I'm going to go through bicone, 11-0, bicone. And you can see I'm pushing it down. So you get this center section is going to be a little bit higher. And we continue. So pick up an 11-0. And we do bicone, 11-0. And then this other bicone. And again, get this tail. You want to pull and tighten as you pull down. Last time, picking up an 11-0, and I'm going to go through just the bicone. So you actually don't want to go through this 11-0. And so this is what it looks like. You can see how they got pulled downward. Now for the next round, you're going to pick up 3 11-0s. You're going to skip this 11-0 and go through the bicone. 11-0 from the previous round and come out of the second bicone here. And there you have it. We're going to repeat this now 3 more times. So I'm picking up 3. I'm going to skip the 11-0, go through this bicone, the 11-0, and exit out of a bicone. Just like that. Pick up 3 more. And we're going to skip 11-0, go through the bicone, this 11-0, and the bicone. Last time, I picked up 3 11-0s, and I'm just going to go through the bicone, and I'm giving it a tug, and everything should feel really secure at this point. It should all be nice and secure. And that's it. There's our component. Not too difficult, right? Okay, so now for this next part, you're going to go ahead and continue on through the 11-0 and the bicone. And then you want to come out of the point here, just like that. Next, you're going to pick up an 11-0, a bicone, and then you pick up 3 11-0s, or actually I guess you can let's do 2. Do 2, then another bicone, and another 11-0. So you're going to pick up a total of 6 beads, and you're going to go back through the 11-0. And that's what you should get. Just like that. I'm going to turn this upward so I can work in this upward direction. And now I'm exiting out of this 11-0, so I'm going to continue upward through the 11-0, the bicone, and then come out of just the first 11-0 there. Okay, so, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up that 11-0 to create my point, and then go down the 11-0 bicone and 11-0 on the other side. And then through this 11-0 here. Pull everything tight, and so basically what we've done is this component is one of our end components, and so here's where your jump ring's going to go for you to add your clasp. So this is for the clasp. So you're going to do this part on the 2 end components. And for middle components, you don't need to do that, but you do want to have a little extra thread in order for us to do the connections. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do next. So I'm going to go ahead and reinforce this one more time. So I'm just going to go through all the beads. Through the 11-0s. Hopefully this is not too tight here. Yep, I'm able to get through that 111 because we've been through that one a few times. And now in order for me to do this connection, I need to make my way to the point on this side here. So that's how they're going to get connected together. So I'm just going to go through the beads little by little. So I'm going through. So I managed to get through quite a few. So I got the 11-0 here, the bicone, 11-0, bicone, and let's see if I can get that 11 out. I thought I did. Yep, there we go. And I got those two at the point there. Now I just got to go down a few more beads and made our way to the other side. These are feeling a little bit snug, so I'm just going to use my pliers to pull the needle out. And there we are. I'm on the opposite side of where I was. Now I want to connect these two together. So I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a bicone and an 11-0, and I'm going to go through the point on this side here on this other component. And repeat 11-0 bicone, 11-0. So here's, and we're just going to go back through that point. So basically you've just made a loop. And it all comes together. Now we are going to reinforce, and there we are. I've gone through it a second time. And probably do one more. And then you can just tie off. All right, so I'm going to go through this bead. And so you can decide whether or not this is secure enough. I've gone through it 3 times, so it feels really secure. And the beads are starting to get tight. So I'm going to turn this to the back so I can just show you how to tie off. And basically, I'm going to tie knots between the 11-0s and the bicones, and then try to pull the knots into the bicone. So I'm going to go around what's called a thread bridge, which is basically the thread between the 2 beads. And to make my loop, there's my loop. And I'm going to tie off. So I just made the knot. And of course, what I always do is unthread my needle. So continue, go through the bicone now. So you're going to pull the knots into the bicones. And I'm exiting out of an 11-0, and I'm going to make another knot. There's the loop. Go through the bicone. And I'm going through this other 11-0 here. So I'm kind of going around the point. And last knot, and then we can just weave the thread. There's a loop. And into the bicones we go. Bicone 11-0. And my other bicone here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this thread so we can see without the thread being in the way. Okay, there we are. So this is component number 1, and it's got this loop that we made for the jump rings. Then we have component number 2 that I just showed you how to connect. And this is number 2 by itself. So it doesn't need the extra loop like it did here. So you only want to do that on the end components. And you continue. So, and I have extra thread here to connect this to the subsequent components. All right, let me go ahead and finish this bracelet. You guys, all you have to do is do the same thing and make all the components. They're actually really easy to make. They should make up fairly quickly. And I'll be back. Here it is. I finished it. I made all the components that I needed. So to make a 6-inch bracelet, I made 5 components. And I added on a lobster claw clasp. And there we have it. So this is actually, it looks more complicated than it is. And I hope you guys like it. It's, my sort of typical style of having a little bit of three-dimensional structure to it. And of course, I have the back. So here we are. Okay, so I will see you in the next tutorial.